Hi, we're the HBP Group and we help businesses improve their IT and cyber security. So I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. It's something we talk about a lot, it's something we get asked about a lot, and it's something that's one, relatively confusing for people to get their heads around, but two, also quite scary in terms of when they do understand it, thinking about the implementation process of that. So just from a very basic point of view, what we're talking about here, just to kind of dissect those terms, two-factor or multi-factor authentication, is having more than one form of logging into something. And the most common way to think about this, probably the easiest way to think about it, is what happens when we go to a bank machine, an ATM, and we have our card, which we obviously have to have. If we haven't got that card, then we're not going to be able to access our account, and we have our PIN number. So therefore we have two forms of authentication. One without the other is pretty useless. If you know my PIN number but you don't have my card, you're not getting in. If you've got my card but you don't know my PIN number, again, you're not getting in. So a very simple way of thinking about it. And what we're doing there then is we're trying to put that across into IT and trying to explain how that works. So what we're really trying to stop here is people being able to get one piece of information which is easily accessible, such as your email address. Now, technically they will need that, but if you think about how easy that piece of information is to find, either because it's out there in the public domain or it's easy to guess because everyone in your organisation has the same setup and therefore I just need to know who you are, know your name, and I can work out your email address. And of course I also need your password. So if one piece of information is easy to get, then the other one is all I've got to do as a cyber criminal in order to access your account and access your emails. And of course we all know what happens when people can access emails. It means they can send off spoof emails that could potentially tell a colleague to transfer money somewhere or cause some other harm by sending files around which therefore come from a trusted person and are more likely to get open. So we know what we're trying to stop, we're all well aware of that. But how do we stop that risk of someone actually getting hold of my password, and how would they do it? So the most common way people have done this recently is to send out an email that basically says, I've shared a file with you. So you might get an email from me, Phil Denham has shared a file with you, and assuming you knew who I was and you trusted me and it looked like it came from my email address, you might think, oh, that's a bit strange, didn't realise Phil was looking to share a file with me. I'll click and have a look what that is. The reason the spam filter doesn't pick that up and doesn't go into your junk and all that sort of things is chances are actually I've already been hacked, so I've already fallen foul of this myself, so it's actually coming from my email address, so it's trusted. The link I'm sending you, there's no malicious software on there whatsoever, there's no downloads, there's nothing horrible on there, it's just a link. You click on that link and it takes you to a screen to log in, normally to your Microsoft 365 account to access your kind of your file access, but your emails and all of that sort of stuff. So you as the end user type in your username, you type in your password and you hit login, and it doesn't go anywhere. Nothing really happens, or it sends you to a file that doesn't really work or any of that. So you go back to your email and you either think, oh, what have I done there? Or you reply to me and say, Phil, I don't know what you're trying to send me, can you try again? Or I think you might have been hacked and all of that. In the background, all of those emails are being deleted because someone's gone into my email and set up a rule to delete anyone that replies to that. So I'm none the wiser. You don't think anything's happened. But meanwhile, someone's just been given your password because you filled it in on a spoof page effectively. And what happens next? They go into yours and they do the same to all of your contacts. So that's what we're trying to stop. Now, if we take that same logic with two-factor authentication, then basically they can't get in, because they've got your password, they've got your username, but when they try to log in, there's another factor that comes into play. So let me show you roughly how that works. I've got my laptop right here. So what I will do, I will just log in. So I'm doing this is on my laptop itself, but exactly the same logic can happen on your email. So as I've logged in there, I have now got a request on my phone to log in. So I will approve that login, and you'll probably see there my laptop has come on. So I can have that same level of protection at the laptop side of things, on an application. Primarily what we want that on is our email at the moment. That's where the biggest risk is. And just by doing that, that means that not only does someone need my username, my password, They also therefore need my my phone in this case, but it doesn't have to be a phone. There's various different ways to do that. A token, kind of a little device that you approve on. So therefore, that makes it much harder, virtually impossible to do that. Because if you actually think that my phone itself also has some levels of authentication on there as well, like a passcode or my fingerprint, or if you've got a better phone than me, your face and things like that. So actually, this is where we get to this multi-level authentication. So that's how it works. The biggest challenge that everyone puts in front of us is, well, what if someone doesn't carry their phone with them all the time? Or isn't this going to frustrate us? Or isn't this going to be a real pain in the neck when it comes to just logging into my machine or logging into my email? So two things on that. One, from an email side of things, if we're on the domain, so for example, if we're in the office and I'm trying to log in, we can bypass some of that because ultimately we've got a different form of authentication there to say we're connected to the network, so it doesn't need that extra level. But the second one being, yes, it does seem like a pain, but you've just seen me log in. That took 2 seconds tops. I have to do that, yes, at the beginning of the day, yes, if I leave my PC and come back, but relatively speaking, it's a fairly small interruption to my day for a huge amount of security on top. Something that can't really be replicated, and as I mentioned, the spam filters aren't going to pick that up, my firewall's not going to pick that up, my antivirus isn't going to pick that up because there's no actual threat there, not in the traditional sense of cybersecurity. So therefore we need something else here to help, and that's where two-factor is really key. Lots of different levels of it. Microsoft do offer something as part of 365 which will protect your Microsoft accounts and in particular your email. And if you want to take that further to kind of how I've got that set up with my laptop, there are other applications as well that will protect devices, specific software applications as well. So of course, if you need any help, just shout and we will do everything we can to kind of assess what you need, talk you through the rollout process and make sure it works for your business. So if you'd like to do that, just get in touch and we'll get the ball rolling.